colleagues, teachers, and administrators. I'd like to thank everyone here for allowing me the chance to share my story, and a special thanks to Dr. Moore and Zonta for extending this invitation for me to speak with you today. My name is Zoya Kalinsky, and I'm 12 years old. I was born in New York and have been living in Los Angeles ever since I was a baby. On November 22nd, 2023, I was invited to address the United Nations ECOSOC Chamber on behalf of UN Women to talk about bullying and share my experience. And I'm here today to engage you in a conversation. A little bit about me. I've been homeschooled since the age of 8, which has been a blessing and a curse. A blessing is I have incredible flexibility in choosing my study curriculum and pursuing my passions, like speaking to groups. And the curse is I'm not experiencing the typical childhood school interactions that often lead to forming deep bonds of friendship with children my own age. Still, I believe that benefits outweigh the negative, especially given the reasons my homeschooling even started with. One of the main reasons my parents took me out of school was because I was massively bullied in the place where joy, laughter, happiness, friendship, and education should flourish, not hate, violence, and fear. I unfortunately have been a victim of bullying ever since I developed Tourette syndrome. Tourette's is a medical condition characterized by sudden, repetitive movements or sounds called tics that are incredibly hard to control. You may see me make movements or make sounds that are out of the ordinary, or you may not. Now, please close your eyes for a moment and picture a cute little 7-year-old girl attempting to fit in with her classmates. Now, imagine her being called a freak due to her differences, a pig because she was making animal sounds. The little girl is shunned by her friends because she was considered different and undeveloped, as the bullies would call her. The names only getting worse, and the bullying as well. Now, imagine that being called hateful names was the least of her issues. Imagine how she felt when she was stabbed with pencils, dragged from classrooms, locked in closets, wishing every day for just a single person to treat her kindly. Unfortunately, what I have listed above is only but a fraction of what was done to me in school. Luckily, I had an amazing support network, my parents who helped protect me, and a few key friends who didn't care about my differences, and I began to thrive. Away from the pressure of the bullies, I began to see the situation in a new light. It wasn't the children's fault. They just didn't know any better. And then I understood that if the adults had taught these kids properly, my situation could have been different. After all, how many preteens have enough experience to understand the consequences of their actions? So I began to study how I could be helpful. Which brings me to the reason that I'm here, and that is not only to raise awareness about bullying, but to also do something about it. I believe that by speaking at schools and universities, we can engage in more meaningful conversations because kids and teens are more likely to listen to us, kids and teens, rather than the adults. I'm not here to teach you about bullying. I'm not here asking for your sympathy, and I'm definitely not here seeking praise for giving a speech at the UN. I am here to ask you for your help in fighting a battle to end the cycle of violence that begins in our schools and the playgrounds. I'm also here to make friends and have an absolute blast this evening. But what I really hope is that by the end of the night, we will have some meaningful discussions on some ideas and how we can actively be part of a solution. This quick speech is meant to start the dialogue, with me not talking at you, but rather talking with you. After all, I don't have all the answers. I'm only 12 years old and can't even drive a car for another 4 years. Now, let me talk a little bit about the event that changed my life and brought me here to this room filled with aspiring young leaders hungry for change. I had the honor of meeting His Excellency Sergio Fernandez de Cordova, a former ambassador and chairman of the Public Foundation. I was with him for less than an hour, and while we were together, I asked him to listen to a speech I'd written in advance about ending violence against women and girls and bullying. After I finished reading it to him, he offered me a chance. Now, before I continue, I want to point out one thing. The only reason I even got a small chance to give this speech was because I was prepared. You never know who you are going to meet tomorrow, so always be prepared today. To continue, after our meeting, he connected me with the team at UN Women, with whom I went through a series of interviews, which were quite hard, to be honest, because everything happened so fast. I'll just say this, they didn't treat me like a 12-year-old. After a couple of weeks, I finally got in contact with Calliope Mingaroo, the chief of Ending Violence Against Women section at UN Women, and had a wonderful discussion and an offer to speak during the 16 days of activism to end violence against women and girls. In another couple of weeks, I saw the agenda with me speaking alongside the President of the 78th General Assembly, Dennis Francis, and Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Amina J. Mohammed. Not gonna lie, it felt awesome. My speech was originally 10 minutes long, but as they added more and more speakers to the agenda, I was asked to cut the speech down to 5 minutes. Then, more ambassadors were added, and I was asked to cut it down to 3 minutes. 3 minutes to have my voice heard. In the end, it was wonderful, because I had to ensure that every word I said was impactful. Like I said before, I'm not here to teach you about what bullying is, but I do want to share some key statistics. More than 160,000 kids stay home from school each day to avoid being bullied. 33% of all kids say they have been bullied in their life. That is 1 in 3 kids. Approximately 20%, that is every 1 in 5 cyberbullying victims, contemplate suicide. And did you know, only 39% of high schoolers notify an adult about bullying. Most importantly, students are less likely to report bullying as they get older. That trend means that as kids get older, they're more likely to take the bullying, but it doesn't make the impact any less harmful. How many people here have been bullied at least once in their life? Please raise your hand. That surely looks like a lot more than 33%. Now, how many here have bullied someone at least once in their life? Thank you for your honesty. I know that most people sitting in this room are high school students and college students. So, I have some advice for those who are enduring past or present pain of bullying. You don't have to fight this battle alone, because the strength to overcome this darkness is through reaching out and not isolation. I made that same mistake when I was a young girl, my parents only finding out when I came home with my clothes ripped and I was crying nonstop. Now I want to talk a little bit about the effects and impacts of bullying. For victims, the repercussion of bullying extend beyond the erosion of self-confidence, but may also lead to more severe consequences, including thoughts of self-harm or even suicide. Or worse, the conversion into bullies themselves. As I stated in my speech at the UN, 97% of those who say they have bullied someone also said they were victims of bullying. This is the cycle of violence that we must break. Both the bullied and bullies are likely to suffer from a higher risk of drug and alcohol abuse and mental health issues, such as depression and anxiety disorders. They are also more likely to experience difficulties in forming healthy relationships later in life, both personally and professionally. This is critically important, as this could lead to more intimate partner violence. And with this being Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, it's important to acknowledge this. I know that I'm in no position to talk about dating yet, but it is important to note that those who bully are far more likely to commit intimate partner violence than those who don't. So, what can we do? Will a bully stop because we ask them to do without repercussions? We hope so, but that is not always a realistic expectation. One idea is about addressing the roots of the problem. We obviously need to support the victims, but we also must somehow change the bully's mindset. And that means finding ways to communicate the long-term effects of their actions and what it means for them personally, not just the victim. Perhaps instead of blaming them, we need to help to make them more aware of the consequences of their actions in the future, so they can grow personally and take responsibility. Anything that can stop the cycle of aggression by encouraging empathy and building a foundation for better behavior must be explored, in my opinion. Additionally, we need to implement more comprehensive anti-bullying policies with stronger rewards for changed behavior. We must provide education and awareness programs and foster a supportive environment in all measures of schooling. Additionally, we need more capital deployed to helplines and support groups available to assist those affected by bullying. Somehow, we must find a way to promote empathy and empower individuals to take a stand against bullying when they see it and not just be a bystander. After all, no one is innocent when witnessing an act of bullying. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to be the last girl with a story like mine. I talk about bullying not because my story is unique, but because way too many kids and teens go through it. Let's speak up together and finally break the cycle of violence. I don't have all the answers, but perhaps someone here does. The floor is yours.
Good job, Zoya.
Thank you, Zoya.
Thank you.
That was amazing, amazing, amazing. Do you see why we wanted you to hear from Zoya? I had the honor to meet Zoya when we did an interview